Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. We've got XinFin's awesome XDC video coming up right now. Although the price isn't very awesome right now, but guys, let's take that aside for a second. I just want to talk about this. It's not the first currency to do it. There's obviously a multitude of options. So Travala, massive, humongous platform for booking flights, hotels, etc. Something I've been following since Zilliqa themselves integrated, and maybe even before then, I can't remember, but certainly with Zilliqa I've done a lot of announcements around that. But XinFin's XDC is now a payment option on here. Really interesting. Can you imagine just like, I don't know, people holding these tokens and stuff? Like, one thing I was like really confused at though is like, you're supposed to like pay tax and stuff, right, on capital gains and this, that and the other. I'm sure in different countries it's similar. But what I don't get is like, you've got all this money in your crypto wallet, right? And then you've got all these different assets and you go, do you know what? Fancy going to Monaco. I'm going to use my Harmony one or whatever, or your mana tokens. Like, what on earth is happening here? It's just like crazy off the books kind of stuff half the time, isn't it? I've noticed that on here they don't say anything about that. They don't go like, make sure you check your financial aspects first before you do this. They just go, yeah, no, come on, jump on here and book your holiday. It's on us at XinFin. Cheers, thanks very much, see you later. Crazy, absolutely brilliant. But once more showing more adoption cases, and this is massive. Look at all this. I don't want to go too much into Travala because this is an XDC video, but I thought this is absolutely fascinating, absolutely brilliant. I don't know what's happened. I've lost XDC. I don't know where it's gone. There it is. So guys, yeah, I just want to throw that one out there. In general, I think we've kind of mentioned this many a time in the past. I'm just walking across the room with my microphone here because I've ran out of battery. Can you believe it? Let's plug that in. Right, we're back in the room. So guys, XinFin XDC, you don't really see much social media activity with this project. Why? We've mentioned it many times. It's a big, massive institutional project, very heavily involved at various levels of high intensity across banking systems, etc. So it's understandable that you're not going to see a gigantic amount of information until XinFin does something themselves in a spectacular way, or gets announced via its partners, whether that be Corda or other banking systems. So that's why. Now, a lot of people called out last year, it's a scam, it's this, that and the other. Well, my simple philosophy around that is that, you know, when we think of like banks in general and stuff like that, they don't go out announcing things every 5 seconds. Of course, they've got loads of marketing activity to try and get you to sign up to accounts and whatnot. But for this particular precision of like business partnerships and things going on in the background, especially the secrecy around kind of like CBDCs at the moment, we know that XinFin and the Corda nodes occur, whether that's something that's integrated with like the Helvetia project, which we talk about quite often, and amongst other things that are going on, like maybe even the Obscura project via Corda. That's why I'm like, well, they're not going to announce all of that stuff because it's at a very high level. Now, all I would say is we're given a great opportunity to essentially be involved in something, so unique and for the future. It's similar to like when we talk about like XRP and Stellar, Lumens, all these great projects that are going to be so influential with finance around the world in the years to come. And Quant is another one of those. We do hopefully get to have the chance to obtain a Quant video shortly. I'm just in the middle of actually finalising the AMA we did with Power Ledger the other day, so I'll get that one out as well. But XDC, guys, let's look at this price. It doesn't look great, does it? But just for the principle of conversation here, I want to point out something. Oh, first of all, I think we're in the green for once, which is nice. Apart from the performances. spoke too soon. But actually on the 3 month here, I still don't understand it. It says 38% there, but I'm looking at here, it says about 70. So we're going with this one because I want to make the point that a majority of projects around this sort of October, November time, albeit this one was slightly earlier in August, the 3 month sort of reflective period, which has obviously been slightly delayed with this particular XDC data that we've got here, this kind of correctional period is actually quite normal. So I think realistically, and you know, I said this on a number of other projects as well, I feel like we're now entering those conservative bottom ends of these correctional periods. Of course, Bitcoin has its say in this as well, and also leveraging on short and longs, which of course today, or even yesterday now, sorry, it's already past midnight here, we saw a number of leverage failures across the entire market, bringing it down, bringing negativity and everything like this. But I thought, you know what? This is absolutely beautiful for me. I remember I was bagging XDC around like 4.5 cents. And I absolutely loved getting it back at that price. It did its rises. I was accumulating on drops as I saw along the way. And I've been doing average buy-ins on this drop down further as well, especially when it came down to lower than 10 cents back here. It rose up again, didn't sell any other than a few bits and bobs, and then came back down again. And that's where we are today. So currently floating around. I'm just going to pull this back a bit. If I just bring this down here a second to let's just pull it back down to here for a second. So we're now entering on this long aspect here, this movement that we've seen recently before back here in July last year. So we're currently taking in this area of interest, this hopeful support mechanism of just over 6 cents, so around 6.2, 6.3 cents. Now, if Bitcoin decides to drag itself back down, so what's the current price? I mean, obviously this is as a recording, it might change by the time you watch it or something. We're at 35, which is actually a really good recovery, to be fair, thus far from yesterday. So going back to XDC here, is what I'm saying is if we get like another move where it starts rising and people take profits and then leverages fail again, we might possibly see Bitcoin come down to maybe like a 32,000 mark, or even indeed a 30,000. And what does that mean? Well, it puts us on edge, certainly at the very extreme bottom of the market in general. I've got two XDCs here for some. But for right now, for XDC, is like, well, if that happens, it may pull it down even further. Now, that could mean that we then return back to these like sort of May-June prices that we saw last year, where I was literally buying up XDC like a madman. But we're very close to that period right now. However, I think it'd be really cool if we saw some support mechanism here which matches really these areas of interest that we saw in the past back in June and tailing off at the end of June as well, where we saw both resistance and a support mechanism before we did this very nice tail up with some XDC announcements at that time as well. Now, I'm not saying that this is a potential repeat pattern because it's very difficult to conclude that. We're in a bear mode, which is obviously very heavily indicated and confirmed as well on things like our MACDs here. Let me just pull that up. So you can see here from this point, 7th of January, we have tried to put it back here on the 16th. So that literally equates to this point here. Where we had stability, it couldn't quite pull itself back up and it rejected that support line on the fib retracement, resisted it, and pulled it back down. So as I said, over the last couple of days, it's not been great from any of the market assets at all, but we can just about see a little green appearing today, which is fantastic to see. Hopefully we can bounce off this line, have a bit of stability around this area before we can pull this back up again, and that would be really good to see. And hopefully, like I said, hopefully completing the mechanism of this correction that we've seen and putting ourselves back upwards. But it really just depends on a couple of things: the narrative of the world that's continuing to be boring and negative, as it usually always is anyway, but also Bitcoin's movements and what people are doing with their money at a very high level in terms of a lot of money going into leverages, people essentially betting on short-term or long-term outcomes, and obviously the long ones have been failing significantly over and over again these last couple of months. People are losing their loads, and I don't know how people can do that. Like, if I was a multi-millionaire, I'd probably just like walk away and be like, that's me done. Like, I have my project in my mind that I want to help with homelessness and stuff around the world. Of course I want a boat, and that's pretty much my life. I just want to chill out when I've got a fair few million. That's the goal for me. But those that are out there with multi millions of dollars and pounds and are betting and gambling for more, guys, you're crazy. But XDC, guys, is a phenomenal project in terms of XinFin, what it's going to do in the financial world for the years to come. I'm really excited. Those who haven't watched it, watch the Helvetia video we did, I think maybe a couple of weeks ago now. They have a time frame on there of how they're trying to integrate things like CBDCs and this new mechanism of finance around the world. It's not directly saying that XDC is indeed involved, but we know that Corda is, and we know that XDC has elements of tokenomics within Corda, and there was always talk anyway about XDC becoming a potential tokenomics aspect of these kind of projects moving forward as well. So I'm super excited. I think it's very under the radar. I don't think it's talked about much. I don't consider myself an XDC maxi like many people are with XRP and XLM and all these other projects. I'm invested in all of them. I think they all have a place, and I certainly think XinFin is definitely one of those. It's just not got the attention, maybe the marketing span. Like you think how many of the really cool guys that work at Ripple right now, always constantly pushing the narrative and the mechanism of that. They don't have that at XDC as much, and I kind of partially like that, because then you're sort of having things, many things under the radar. As long as you're believing in the project, you've done your research, you know what they're capable of doing and what they are doing, that's enough for me. But like I said, for me personally, I'm absolutely loving this price point area. Let's just have a couple more reflections before we close this video. I was trying to get a few more done this evening before I collapse of tiredness on this table. But here we go. Look at this wave. I was really quite surprised. To see this complete further drop off. I was expecting a small wave similar to this and the pullback up, but like I said, the rest of the market has pulled this down, in my opinion. This is not to do with XDC being terrible or anything like that. It's just purely market crashing essentially. So like I said, from the 7th of January, pulling it down, couldn't get back on the 15th, 16th. It's rejected it and it's pulling it down. There's a bit of a widening gap here. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm looking at the RSIs. 28 days very healthy on that 14 day as a buying point for me personally, and 28 day being under 40 now, and that 90 days squeezing lower and lower each day, pulling itself towards 40. But we've got a bit of stability here. Look at that. Over this last 3 days, very interesting indeed. So can it come down further? Of course, there's a slight possibility, but these 3 days are very interesting to me, that we might finally be getting support at this level. If we do not, I will certainly be putting a buy area down, matching these lower areas here. It's not too much further down. We've already hit it yesterday, but I'm definitely interested in trying to obtain that area again. And I'm going to be cheeky and try and perhaps even get one around this sort of 5.4 cent mark. Like I said, not expecting it definitely to come down to these areas, but because we're in the bear momentum, because this MACD's gap is still quite wide, I would see that being quite a slow aspect of trying to switch this back round. Irrespective of the support, I think that's just possibly where we might go. And I'm not doing this as a cliche, but if I just quickly draw this aspect, because I find this quite interesting as well, is this whole entire aspect of a trend mechanism here. There is an argument to say possibly, just possibly, along this aspect of lining here, that we might just possibly come down to a 5 cent mark, which is why I've got the 5.4 just in case. But hopefully, I have been accumulating XDC, and I'm hoping for all of us out there that across the whole entire market, really, that we're seeing the end of this correction soon, and hopefully seeing this support obtaining around 6 cents. If we can do that over the next 2-3 days, absolutely brilliant. I think we can pull this back up a bit, where we hopefully can get it to. But I would not be surprised. I'm being cautious because of the Bitcoin moves, because of the narratives of the world, because of the leverages that are going on at the moment. Just in case, I'm getting ready with averaged dollar purchasing on the way down, and I will do the selling at the same points or near the same points on the way up as well. That is my thoughts and my moves, guys. Let us know what you are doing with your XDC in your portfolio. How have you found the market in general? I'm excited. I think this is putting it back to prices where I was loving the accumulation aspect before, and it shows you how much advantage you can take on the rises and how not to be greedy and definitely take profits along the way. But me, I'm a long-term XDC holder. I'm just trying to get up that fish rank. If you remember those videos a while back, where integrated stages of how many XDC you hold depends on what kind of fish you are. I'm aiming for the next level up. I don't want to be a minnow anymore. So we'll see. We'll do a review on that in the next video for a bit of fun. But guys, until then, thank you for watching. Like I said, do let us know in the comments below what you're doing with XDC. But until the next one, guys, we will see you very soon. Take care. Bye bye.